Please welcome to the stage, Common.
Oh. Ready, Keith?
Wait a minute.
No justice or justification. We trust in God but can't trust in the nation. The cusp of generations searching for ventilation. If 2020 vision is any indication of where we are, where we've been, where do we go? American ain't legible. My rights are being left behind. In question times, they say invest in nines. I'm trying to rest my mind. The press be pressed to find stories about my kind, a suggested crime. Many holler about justice reform. Won't put dollars where the hustler's born. You know our politicians, they love to perform. Acting and singing that government song. How they love America where you loving it wrong. We the people are becoming reborn.
When I tell you stand up, I still believe that there's a place in this world for people.
Come on, Houston.
Like you.
Yo, we here for the soul of the nation. Yeah.
I still believe that there's a place in this world, a place for me and you.
Ladies and gentlemen, clap your hands. Yeah.
I still believe that there's a place in this world
Texas.
for people just like
It's a place, y'all.
people all around the world.
All around the world.
I still believe that there's a place in this world, a place for me and you. Hey!
A lasting winner in America. It's more content than it is character. Truth is, we staring at a derringer. Old ways is the barrel that's daring us. We better cross and cross rivers. Stolen souls and lost figures told by Doc Rivers. Moving other people, we take God with us and recreate equal that'll outlive us. Delivered to this earth with authority. Never thought of myself as a minority. Cordial invites to far left and all rights. I'm from the Bob Marley party, everything will be alright. You say all life matters, but you pay it no mind when black life shatters. I know this light at the end of the struggle. Revolution and love is like a couple.
Stand up, Houston. I still believe that there's a place in this world for people just like you.
Yes, Houston.
All around the world.
We here for Biden Harris. Yes, we believe. We believe.
And you. And I never stand up.
Stand up.
I still believe that there's a place in this world, a place for
H-Town,
me and
Texas,
you. And I never stand
Harris
up.
County. Ha.
I still believe that there's a place in this world, a place for me and you.
How you feeling, Houston? It's a blessing to be here. And with so much turmoil and different things going on in the world, we know the country has felt chaotic. But for some reason, with all the people I'm seeing going out and voting, the people that are inspired to vote, I look at Biden and the Biden and Harris ticket, and I'm looking down the ticket, and I'm saying, man, I feel a certain peace. I feel a peace. I want y'all to put up y'all peace with me. Yeah, because we come in peace. They talk about riots, but we come in peace. We say
peace? We don't really want no trouble.
no trouble
Tell me, is you down with the struggle?
with the struggle.
All they really want to do is cuff you.
Yeah,
No, they don't love you.
say what?
I
We
said peace?
Come on,
We don't really want no trouble.
no trouble
Tell me, is you down with the struggle?
with the struggle.
All they really want to do is cuff you. No, they don't love you. I said
Staring Stepping into the darkness like Marcus Garvey, I'm an artist, respect to the goddess. Some say I'm too modest because I'm the hardest on this path to progress. There's been carnage. Regardless, this is a harvest for the world to harness. L dreams, creators promise. Being free is like paying homage. I've been on that piece, Black Dalai Lama. My college was between Stony and college. The knowledge I got it because brothers was bout it. Knew I had to pull it, the bullet or the ballot. It's like the parable of the story of the talents. So my people took it paper with no margin, turned the ghettos to gardens. Like Ron Finley through stages of life, the world's my Wembley. I MC from a point of entry of peace. Some find it, yo, through the paper routing. And some find they peace through praise and shouting. Some find they peace through pulling the shades like Malcolm. I found my peace, making these albums. Peace. Come on.
We don't really want no trouble.
No trouble.
Tell me, is you down with the struggle?
With the struggle.
All they really want to do is cuff you.
Hey, sound, we coming in.
We don't really want no trouble.
No trouble.
Tell me, is you down with the struggle?
With the struggle.
All they really want to do is cuff you.
Ali, come down with it. Come on.
So we done lost. You know, so we did on the right path. Hey, we want a big life, peace and respect. Big up on ourselves. Hey,
Yo.
that we bless.
I said we bless, y'all. I said we bless. I said we bless Houston. I said we bless. Yo, we bless America. I said we bless, huh? DJ Dummy, yo. We said, come on. No trouble.
Tell me, is you down with the struggle?
Oh, shit.
All they really want to do is cuff you.
Yo, they don't love you up. Say peace, peace. We don't really want no trouble. No trouble.
Tell me, is you down with the struggle? All they really want to do is cuff you. But they don't love you.
DJ Dummy.
They're the one they're fighting for. The people under pressure.
Yeah.
They're the one they're fighting for. They're the one they're fighting for. They're the one they're fighting for. They're the one they're fighting for.
How many of you feeling that peace right now? We look for peace, peace beyond understanding that comes from the Most High. But we see it in our people. And one thing I've really been inspired about when I've been on this trail of just meeting people, different candidates, is that I'm meeting candidates on the Democratic ticket that are standing for the people, that really like reflect the people. And I love it. I love it. So we're gonna do this one. Where my people from Houston at right now? Where my people from Houston? My people from, whether you from the 3rd Ward, the Trey, 5th Ward, Mo City, Sugarland, Sunnyside. I'm gonna do this for my people. Yeah. Yo, we're talking. Yeah, come on. I'm talking about my people. Houston, we talking about my people. H-Town people. Yo, yo. This is street radio for unsung hero. Riding in the Rego, trying to stay legal. My daughter found Nemo, I found a new primo. Key, you know how we do it for the people. Struggle of the brothers and the folks, lovers of the dope. Experiment to discover hope, scuffer for notes. Rougher I wrote, times was harder. Went for rocket starter, the voice of a martyr. Some white folk focus on dogs and yoga. My people on the low end trying to ball and get over. Lyrics are like liquor for the fallen soldier. The bounce to the ounce, it's all our culture. Every day we hustling, trying to get them customers. Law we ain't trusting them, big ones we lusting them. Sick and tired of punching in, I look on the bus at them. When I see them struggling, I think how I'm touching them, my people. Houston, Texas, y'all my people.
My people.
We want a president and a vice president that represent the people.
My people.
I see you, my people.
My people.
Yeah. This is street radio. R-A-D-O for unsung hero. Riding in the Rego, trying to stay legal. Amoye found Nemo, I found a new primo. Boom, you know how we do it for the people. People said that I was sharp on TV at the Grammys. They tried to India, I read me. I got backstage, bumped into Stevie. He said no matter what, the people gon' see me. Can't leave rap alone, the streets need me. Hunger in their eyes, what seemed to feed me? Inside peace mixed with beef seemed to breed me. Nobody believed, I believe me. Now I'm on the rise, doing business with my guys. Business realized, music affecting lives. A gift from the skies to be recognized. I keep my eyes on my eyes on my eyes on the people. We talking the soul of a nation. We talking about the people. Kamala Harris, you gotta do it for the people. Ali, you know what we do. We do it for the people. Yo, Boom, this my man Boom from Houston. He from Houston on the bass. Give it to him, Boom. Talking about my people. My people. And one thing, you know, getting to roll around Houston today was invigorating for me. Getting to go to I think we went to Cooney homes where they said George Floyd actually was from, and we went to some places in Sunnyside. Yeah, Cooney projects. CUNY, I get it right. CUNY, all right, CUNY. Yeah, that's right. I went to CUNY and we went to Sunnyside, and man, we saw a lot of, yes, I met these sisters, that's right. And it was really inspiring because we saw people, when we initially came and saw people like that were volunteering to support the vote, it was people of all different nationalities, and it was like, man, I didn't know Texas had this in us. Like, this is amazing. And women who were Muslim, Christian brothers and sisters, Asian brothers and sisters, Latino brothers and sisters, that's who was throwing it, who was putting it together. So it was a beautiful thing. But what I was going to talk about in the projects, I kind of went somewhere else, was like, I saw all these beautiful children running around. And I was like, I thought about George Floyd's daughter and how she said, my daddy changed the world. And I thought about how our children will be the ones that will be changing the world, but we have to set the world straight for them. We have to correct the world at this point and give them something that allows them to flourish and allows them to blossom. So this next song we're doing is dedicated to our children, and it makes me think of like when I see you young ladies sitting on your mom's lap. It warms my heart because I just always want our children to remember who they are. Don't forget who you are. Yeah, yo, we say,
Don't forget who you are.
yeah,
Don't forget who you are.
wow, that, wow.
'Cause you're blessed with it.
So blessed with it,
Baby, so marvelous.
so
No
marvelous.
one like you, just look around. Yeah, you're too strong to turn around. Don't forget who you are.
Yeah, we go.
Don't forget who you are.
Beautiful baby, I love you, baby. I pray these words may hug you, baby. Look into the mirror, say I love you daily. Remember your light when the world seems shady. You born with it, adorned with it. A gift to this world, gon' give it. Fearlessly made, no need to be afraid. Angels are with you, the path is laid. Waiting thoughts of you being a star. Truly you'll shine by seeing who you are. Reflections of you, reflections of me. Your beauty more than any eyes can see.
Don't forget who you are. Don't forget who you are.
Wow, yo,
'Cause you're blessed with it.
so blessed with it.
Baby, so marvelous.
It's so marvelous.
No one like you, just look around. Yeah, you're too strong to turn around.
Yeah, yeah.
Who you are.
Yes, come on.
Don't forget who you are.
Yeah, yo, say what?
Don't forget who you are.
Don't forget who you are, young lady.
Don't forget who you are.
And also, we want to dedicate this one to our women. We want to uplift our women. We know that this world will go nowhere without women having equanimity and equality.
There are times
Yeah,
when you need someone.
I can't hear you.
I will be by your side.
Yeah, yeah. Let them know about the light, y'all. Come on.
There is a light that shines
How it shine.
special for you and me.
Yo, never knew a law like this. Gotta be something for me to write this. Queen, I ain't seen you in a minute. Wrote this letter and finally decided to send it. Sign, seal, deliver for us to grow together. Love had no limit, let's spin a slow forever. Your heart is weathered by what studs did to you. I ain't gon' start them, I did it too. Cause of you feelings I handle with care. Brothers recognize your light, they can't handle the glare. Hey, I ain't the type to walk around with matching shirts. A relationship is effing, I match your work. Be the one to make you happiest, hurt you the most. The end is near, come close to the most high. Regardless of what happened on him, let's rely.
There are times
Sing it, y'all.
when you
Need someone.
Say what? Come on.
I will be by your side.
Yeah, Houston. Let them know about the light, y'all. Come on.
There is a light that shines
How it shine.
special for you and me.
Yo. It's kinda fresh, you listen to more than hip-hop. Catch you in the mix from beauty to thrift shop. You hip-hop when it's time to, thinking you fresh. Suggested beats I should rhyme to. When I'm lost, I try to find you. You know to give me space when it's time to. My heart's dictionary defines you. Love, happiness, truthfully it's hard trying to practice abstinence. Time we committed love, it was real good. Had to be for me to arrive, it still feel good. Sex ain't gonna keep you, but as my equal is how I must treat you. As my reflection of light, I'ma lead you. And whatever's right, I'ma feed you. Yo, tick a thigh, tick a thigh, tick a thigh, tick a tick a thigh. Yo, I tell you the rest when I see you. Peace. Sing it, y'all.
when you need
Someone.
I can't hear you.
I will be by your side.
Yes, yes. Let them know about the light, y'all. Come on.
There is a light that shines
How it shine.
special for
Yo, break it down.
you and me.
Break it down, break it down.
there are times
Yeah,
you need someone.
I can't hear you.
I will be by your side. Oh, darling. There is a light that shines
Keep the music going.
special for
I need y'all to clap your hands with me one time. Yeah, yo. It's like a beautiful revolution. I came to rock it here in Houston. Yeah, we at the university. Yo, we dealt with adversity. That's okay, everything ain't currency. Yo, this country had an emergency. Yo, sort of things are sort of evident. We gotta get rid of that president. Yo, this thing, I ain't hesitant. You know, for the realness, I'ma represent. Yeah, common sense always been witty. That's why I shout at my people from Mo City. Yeah, you know how it is in the third ward, yo, the tray, yo, we do this on a Friday. I display for the ace cause I'm like great, yo. These type of styles, yo, they gotta escape out my mind. I can take my time and define. Looking at my people and this is the front line. Front line runners, front line real people. Common sense, yo, you know I like deal people. Deal people some cards that they gotta know. I deal them from card cause I'm from Chicago. And you know I follow real dreams. Yo, people like Akeem the Dream, yo, I got a type of thing. Yo, my brother named Reem on the drums, yo, I sum up the situation. When it come down, we here to build a nation. Build the soul, take the soul back. I can't hold back, yo, I'm pro-black. I love my people, plus I love all the others. You can just discover, got respect for my mother, so I respect the women. When I get into this live Houston rhythm, came to Texas, no, I ain't a sexist. I just relentless, come with this and wreck this style. For people right now in the crowd, so AKs, yo, you can hear the freestyle. They go ski weed and speak freely. They be saying seeing common sense on TV and everything is live on a Friday night. They want me to get bald-headed like I wasn't just right and act like the Queen Latifah. I came to speak a different type of style, let you know I can reach her. Who seen to be a teacher, plus a great singer. When it comes to this, yo, I just be a winger of the styles. I can stay sort of fly, take it up to the sky, and you know though I do or die. Common sense, yo, I never been careless. Telling y'all to vote for who, Biden and Harris. Yeah. It's all light, y'all. It's all light, y'all. It's all light, yeah. It's all light, y'all. It's all light, y'all. Tick-a-da, tick-a-da, tick-a-tick-a-da, tick-a-da, tick-a-da, tick-a-tick-a-da, tick-a-da, tick-a-da, tick-a-tick-a-da. Yo, I tell you the rest when I see you. As we, thank you, I love you all, I appreciate you all. And I appreciate all you elected officials and people that's running, that's truly gonna represent us in talking about criminal justice reform and not only talking about it, but planning it. Planning ways to get black economic justice and brown economic justice and allowing us to feel a part of the process too. As we go out and vote, we are gonna hold you accountable. We wanna hold you accountable. We wanna have that conversation and we thank you and we thank those who came before us who allowed us to be here to do this. I thank the John Lewises, I thank the Dr. Kings and Amelia Boytons, Diane Nashes, the Rosa Parks. I thank them and honor them. And thank you. And as I think about the ancestors, I also think about the present and what we want to create for our future. And the more I learned about this word is something powerful that where we show our best selves. That's what this word means, glory. So when we show our best selves, we showing the selves that really is a reflection of the one true God, the one creator, the most high that we all have within us. So I dedicate this to those who came before us, but I also dedicate this to the most high, because to God be the glory. And I thank you, Houston, for what you're doing.
When the glory comes, it will be ours, it'll be ours. Oh,
One day.
when the war is won, we will be sure, we will be sure. Oh, glory, glory,
Hands to the heavens, no man, no weapon formed against. Yes, glory is destined. Every day women and men become legends. Sins that go against our skin become blessings. The movement is a rhythm to us. Freedom is like religion to us. Justice is juxtaposition in us. Justice for all just ain't specific enough. One son died, his spirit is revisiting us. True and living in us. Resistance is us. That's why Rosa sat on the bus. That's why we walk through Houston with our hands up. When it go down, we woman and man up. They say stay down, and we stand up. Shots, we on the ground, the camera panned up. King pointed to the mountaintop, and we ran up. One day,
when the glory comes, it will be ours.
it's ours.
Be ours.
Yes.
Oh,
The glory is ours. Texas. Let's change the world. Now for every man, woman, and child. Even Jesus got his crown in front of a crowd. They march with the torch, we gon' run with it now. Never look back, we done gone hundreds of miles. From dark roads, heroes, to become a hero. Facing the League of Justice, power was the people. Enemy is leader, what king became regal. Saw the face of Jim Crow under a bald ego. The biggest weapon is to stay peaceful. We sing, our music is the cuts that we bleed through. Somewhere in a dream he had an epiphany. Now we right the wrong in history. No one can win a war individually. It takes the wisdom of the elders, young people's energy. Welcome to the story we call victory. The coming of the Lord, my eyes have seen the glory. One day, yes, the glory is yours. The glory is yours. One day, Houston. Texas, that day is today. That day is now. The glory. Yes, the glory is yours. The glory is ours. The glory is yours. The glory is ours. My man Keon Harold on the horn. Harold on the horn. Musina Abdul Kareem on vocals. PJ on vocals. The boom on the bass. Ali on keys. Kareem Riggins on drums. Our music director, DJ Dummy. We are very enthused and excited. Feel strong on the sound, Tim on the monitors. We're very enthused and excited. Houston, for what's to come. Texas, we thank you. Let's change the world. Biden and Harris, we holding you up high. We keeping our prayers in and we doing the work. We love you. God bless.
I love you through the phone tonight.
DJ Khaled.
88, she had my uncle in there. A miscarriage back to back every year for like 10. Pregnant with my mom's, doctor told her it was slim. Was barren road for 9 months, but gave birth for N. Pops turned 60, he proud what we done. In one generation, he came from Africa young. He said he met my mom's at the Century Club. Los Angeles love, kinda like Hustle and Bud. Money turned 10, Cross turned 2. Starting to see this light from a bird's view. We the ones that made millions off the curve. Fool in this rap 10, never made nerd moves. Hey, whoa. You keep taking me higher and higher. Yeah, Khaled. But don't you know that the devil is a liar? I know. Right back. They'd rather see me down, put my soul in the fire. But we keep going higher, higher.
Yeah, talk to him.
Emptied out the clip, it was broad day. Niggas always gotta learn the hard way. We gon' tape it off if we ball play. Put a half a moon crescent on your ball fade. Police hit the lights, that's a car chase. Looking back at my life, make my heart race. Dance with the devil and test all faith. I was thinking chess moves, but it was God grace. Crooked whoever till we all straight. With no shame, I peep game and it's all fake. South Central state of mind, high crime rate. Homicide, hate gang banging to get you all day. Look at my fate. You keep taking me higher and higher. Told Khaled bounce the phone to the bar break. But don't you know that the devil is a liar? I know. They'd rather see me down, put my soul in the fire. But we keep going higher, higher. Higher. Oh Lord. Can you feel?
Are we good to go? Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your next senator from the great state of Texas, MJ Hager.
How's everybody doing? Oh, that was wonderful, wasn't it? God, I gotta tell you, that touched me. That touched me. That touched that spark of hope in me that says, I love this country even when she breaks my heart. You know that? You guys hear this? You hear this over here? Guess what we're gonna do? We're gonna fight for their access to health care too. They don't know it yet. They don't know it yet. That's okay. I gotta tell you guys, I'm in this fight because I love this country. I lost my dad to a workplace accident when he was only 49 years old. And then I joined the military and risked my life in my job. And now we've got frontline workers across this country, teachers, healthcare workers, people keeping our grocery stores stocked. And our country is asking them to keep moving and to keep risking their lives to keep our country moving forward. But we're not giving them the support that they need. Luckily, we have voices like Senator Kamala Harris in the Senate fighting for us. But we need her in the executive branch, don't we? I'm looking forward to working my tail off to go there and continue that fight while she moves over to the executive branch. I want you to think about why she's here, though. Why is she here? She's here because Houston is more populated than 15 states around our country. She's here because you're the most diverse city in the nation. Because you're critical to our economy and our national security. But you know what? Those things have always been true. You know why she's really here? You. She's here because you voted in record numbers, because you worked your tails off getting other people's to the polls. She's here because of the work we've been doing and you've been doing, and that's incredible. Texas is a battleground state. No longer will we be ignored and overlooked. No longer will small numbers of us choose our elected officials who act outside of our values. She's here because of you. I want you to think about a world in which you wake up on November 4th with a Democratic senator and a Democratic White House, a Democratic president and vice president, a Democratic majority in the Senate. Think about that moment, waking up in that moment, because I gotta tell you, the first thought I have is, whew, we got some work to do. We got work to do. We have a few years to extend access to healthcare for people, to get our immigration system more in line with our American values that honor the pursuit of happiness and the American dream and opportunity that is denied to too many right now. We've got work to do. We've got to fight systemic racism. We've got, we've got to create jobs. We've got to build back our economy, the backbone of our economy. You think it's the wealthy special interest corporate donors or the regular hardworking folks like us that's going to bring back this economy? I gotta tell you, it's not strategically smart to be the people not fighting for hardworking people, because we're gonna outwork them, right? It just makes sense to me. We're gonna outwork them. We've been outworking them, that's why we're setting records. And I gotta thank you for that, because we are in a position to do some real good. So it's November 4th, we got a lot of work to do. We've got a short window in which to do it to make sure that it lasts, because we gotta deliver on these promises. I am so honored to grace this stage with a couple of my heroes tonight. One is coming up after me, Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee, who charged me with being the job-creating mama. And it's not a cute nickname. That is a job she gave me, make no mistake. And I will not let her down, and I will not let you down. But we have a lot of work to do. So now that you're living in this world where we have a Democratic senator and a Democratic Senate majority in the White House, and we got a lot of work to do, bring yourself back now to 4 days before Election Day and ask yourself what you would do to make that a reality. Because I gotta tell you, I can't think of much I wouldn't do to make that happen. Now, you're already doing it, but keep it up. Some people are running on fumes, I get it. Keep the momentum up, keep the pedal to the metal, keep volunteering, keep phone banking, keep text messaging. I gotta tell you one last thing before I give up the microphone. Somebody asked me if their vote counted. If your vote didn't count, they wouldn't be working so damn hard to suppress it. They know your vote counts. Do not let them silence us. We are more powerful than the powerful few that are trying to maintain power, trying to profit, trying to exploit. We're more powerful than them because there's more of us than there are of them. And when we stand together, there is nothing we can't do. So stand with me, stand with Senator Harris and future President Biden, because we're asking you for a job. And in return, if you hire us for these jobs, we're gonna turn right back around and build back our economy and bring jobs to your community. And we'll work together to heal this nation. Thank you so much. Y'all stay safe, and please don't let up. Let's maintain this momentum. Let's kick some serious tail, and we are gonna have so much to celebrate on November 4th, y'all. Thank you so much.
If I want to live forever, I don't need no one's help. Let me rock. Let me rock. So let my best friend turn on cops. Let me rock. Don't let me feel like I've been going crazy. Well, you know that that's just the way you made me. Mama knows I didn't plan this. Yeah, I was guilty from the start.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your hometown congresswoman here at the University of Houston, Miss Sheila Jackson Lee.
Wow. I was wondering, where were all the Democrats? I needed to hear some noise. I needed to hear some noise. I needed to have the next Vice President of the United States know what Texas is made of. Thank you so very much. What an honor and privilege to be here with the best congressional delegation in the nation. Give the Texas congressional delegation a big shout out again. Oh, you can go louder than that. And we're delighted to have Seema Langevaren. Thank you. Seema is here. I saw she had on a pretty pink suit. Give her a very big hand. There she is, on the way to victory. Sri Kilcarney, on the way to victory. Michael Siegel, on the way to victory. And many of our colleagues up and down the state of Texas. You know, I want to make sure that the background noise is not louder than us. So I think I need another shout out one more time. One more time. Let me give you a moment to be able to understand the significance of this historical moment. Just imagine whether or not when the song Impossible Dream was being written and sung, would they have imagined the state of Texas in 2020, long in the squalor of red states, to be able to be on the precipice of turning this state blue and electing the next president and vice president of the United States? Somebody needs to be happy about that. And so this is about the impossible dream. But we could not be where we are if we didn't have all of you who are volunteers. And I want to give you a shout out. Thank you so very much. We would not be where we were without the outstanding election officials that have provided for 3 weeks of early vote, even tonight, finally ending at 7 p.m., to allow the opportunity for 24-hour voting. We would not be where we were. Give them a big shout out. And so I want you to be able to know the impossible dream is right in the midst of our hands. And this outstanding historical moment, would you imagine that in the impossible dream, they thought that the presidential nominee would be one of Southeast Asian heritage and African-American woman by the name of Kamala Harris? Would the impossible dream have ever imagined that? Would they have imagined that it would be a young man growing up in the roots of working class America? Would they have ever imagined that? Would they have ever imagined that they'd come to a city like Houston that is the face of America, with people coming from all walks of life, from all communities and all nations, a multicultural community? Could they have ever imagined that? And would they have ever imagined that Texas Southern University and the University of Houston would unite together tonight with their student leaders coming together to make this a unity event? Texas Southern University and the University of Houston working together. Would they have ever imagined? And so if you think this journey is over, it is not over. We have one more day of election, but 3 days of getting people to know that they've got to vote and vote early, people to know that they have to drop off their early vote, don't mail it, their mail ballot, bring it to the necessary location. If you've got your mail ballot now, you need to deliver it yourself, because we can't lose one single vote. So Kamala Harris represents a strong and astute woman who in the midst of confusion brings clarity. Someone who never gives up, never gives out, never gives in. Brings a heritage that is unique. Knows that she's a scholar, an attorney, a district attorney. But she has the compassion and the infectious laugh to embrace us all. So tonight you're going to get a double treat. One of our hometown sisters will be here in just a moment. But I wanted us to focus on the impossible dream. No one thought that Texas could turn blue, and everyone is trying to pull us down. I tell you, I'm never going to give up, never going to give in, and never going to give out. We're going to win this state and work as hard as we can. This is our impossible dream. This is our mountain. This is our time to shake the trees. And so my challenge is that the sounds that are coming from there are protected by the Constitution. We as Democrats believe in the freedom of speech, but we also believe in the power of our own conscience and self-worth and the need to protect the most vulnerable and to eliminate children in cages. We want to get rid of someone who doesn't understand that 200,000 plus dead is a big deal. And we want to fight COVID-19 and win against COVID-19. So ladies and gentlemen, I wanted to remind you that when that song was written, they had no idea about this historical moment. And I'd like you all to be in the annals of history. A state that has not seen blue for almost half a century. And a state that they imagined that could never happen. They didn't know that we were all a potpourri, a mosaic, from Black Lives Matter to individuals from respective communities, from Latinx to African Americans to Asians to different religions. That is Texas. And they know that our historical record with some of the greatest Democrats in the nation, our history is already set. What we have to do, council members and elected officials and Mayor Turner, thank you for this great city, the work that you do. What we have to do is unify and make that impossible dream the headlines of the early morning of November 4th, 2020. If you will do that, if you will raise your hand with me and say that we are going to do as my good brother Common said, we're going to have one day when the glory comes, it will be ours. Somebody say it with me. One day when the glory comes, it will be ours. I can't hear you. One day when the glory comes, it will be ours. Ladies and gentlemen, as we hear from our wonderful sister who you're going to hear from, to bring on my wonderful Soror, and to all the Sorors out there, hello, we love you. To all of the Sorors out there, to all the doctors out there, to all of the people who have worked to give money, all of the campaign workers out there, I want you to realize that one day when the glory comes, it will be ours. Get ready for the impossible dream, turning Texas blue and never look back. God bless all of you, and God bless the United States of America. I'm looking forward to Kamala Harris, the next Vice President of the United States.
모든 게 궁금해질 때 tell me oh yeah 뭐가 널 행복하게 하는지 text me oh yeah
Your every picture 내 머리만 듣고 싶어 Come be my teacher 네 모든 걸 다 가르쳐줘 You want you do Listen to my baby 나는 저 하늘을 높이 날고 있어 네가 내게 줬던 눈에게 이상적인 너무 높아 난 내 눈에 널 맞추고 싶어 Yeah, you make me a boy with love
oh my waited all my life
내 전부 함께 하고 싶어
oh my looking for something right
이제 조금은 나 알겠어
I want something stronger that a moment love I have waited longer for a boy with love
알게 되니 후야 내 삶은 언덕너야 관계사 습관치 않게 만들어버린 너라는 멜로디 하나부터 열까지 모든 게 특별하지 너의 가심사 걸음걸이 말투와 사소한 작은 습관들까지 난 말했지 너무 작다 내가 영웅이 된 거라고 난 말했지 운명 따윈 전부터 내게 아니었다고 세계의 평화 거대한 질서 그저 널 지켜봐 날 Listen to my baby 나는 저 하늘을 높이 날고 있어 그저 네가 내게 줬던 편하게로 이제 여기 너무 높아 난 내 눈에 널 맞추고 싶어 Yeah, you make me a boy with love
oh my
Make me high so fast 내 전부 함께 하고 싶어
oh my
Make me fly so fast 이제 조금은 나 알겠어 Love is nothing stronger than a boy with love Love is nothing stronger than a boy with love
까놓고 말하길 나도 모르게 힘이 들어가기도 했어 높아버린 스카이 커져버린 헛 때론 도망치게 해달란 기도했어 너의 상처는 나의 상처 깨달았을 때 나 다짐했던 걸 네가 준 이 그 후세 나에게로 태양이 아닌 너에게로 Let me fly
Waited all my life 내 전부 함께 하고 싶어 Looking for something right 이제 조금은 나 알겠어
I want something stronger than a moment love
Nothing stronger
Jenny got a job to do, and he's got to fulfill that mission. Yeah. To see his earth will be their greatest ambition. Yeah. But we will survive in this world competition. 'Cause no matter what they do, they keep on coming through. And no matter what they say, tragedy they every day. Natty dread rides again through the mystics of tomorrow. Natty dread rides again. Have no fear, have no sorrow. Yeah, all in all you see, I want is the fight. got something they can never take away. We've got something they can never take away. And it's the fire. It's the fire that's burning down everything. Feel the fire.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Houston's own Miss Tina Knowles Lawson.
Hello, Houston. Wow, I'm so happy to be here. As soon as the plane was letting down, I just started smelling Frenchie's chicken and papados and all of that. But seriously, you know, my daughter did a video, and in the video, she called herself Miss Third Ward. And she also called me a savage. And she said she got this from Tina. Well, I'm the original Tina, and this was my city first. Love you too. You know, you guys are all the reason why we are going to finally turn this state from red to blue. Now, I know it's been a really tough year this year with all the things that have happened, but I've seen tens of millions of our people to go out, all people to go out and stand up for what is right and to stand up for justice. And that has been a blessing. I feel like in this election that our votes are our voices. And those voices will be heard loud and clear as we elect Joe Biden for President of the United States. And Senator Kamala Harris as Vice President of the United States. But first, we have to go out and vote. We've got to do our part. I've been so proud of Houston because I've been seeing the lines and the participation and the people showing up and showing out at the polls. And we have to keep that up, guys. We've got to get our family members, our relatives, even neighbors we haven't spoken to in a long time to come out and vote. And that's the reason for people like these who don't allow people to have a different opinion than theirs. That's why it's so important. They want to drown us out, but they're not going to. Yes. Okay. Because voting matters. You know, at the local level, I mentor kids, and my kids were so sad and so depressed because they were like, Miss Tina, it doesn't matter if we vote. You know, nothing's going to change. Nothing's going to be better. And what I tell them is I have to connect the dots for them. And how I connect the dots is locally, because a lot of their relatives are incarcerated. And I say to them, the judges that your relatives are going before are, you know, we elect the mayor, and the mayor hires the police chief, and the judges and the district attorneys and the attorney general we elect. And when you make it clear that this does connect to us personally, then I think they get it. They connect the dots, and so they're doing a drive to get relatives and friends to vote as well. And I'm really proud of that. That's why I can't wait for Texas to be the deciding state in this presidential election. Because y'all know, if we win Texas, it's game over. But to get there, you and I have to do our part. We must vote. So go to ourvote.com and make a plan to vote. The future of our country is in our hands, and we can't let each other down. Now, I have the honor of introducing a fighter for justice, an advocate for the people, a leader who is so inspirational to young girls and boys around the world. I told you I mentor kids, and do you know what joy I had to say that we're gonna have not only a female president, but an African-American female president. That gives my kids hope that they can be anything that they want to be. And it's so important. Just imagine all those girls and boys in January looking up at that stage and seeing Kamala take the oath of office. That's a barrier we can break together. That's hope we can usher in right now. Ladies and gentlemen, is she ready? She ready. Ladies and gentlemen, the next Vice President of the United States, my friend, Kamala Harris.
Conmigo tú te vas a hacer algo más. No puedas olvidar, conmigo vas a sentirte mejor. Baila, 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 ponle música pa' que esto no pare. Baila, 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 tengo que besarte antes que se acabe. Baila, 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 ponle música pa' que esto no pare. Baila, 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 tengo que besarte antes que se acabe. Ozuna, Luyan, Mambo King, Hydro, Johnny. Y baila, 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 ponle música pa' que esto no pare. Baila, 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 tengo que besarte antes que se acabe. Baila, 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 ponle música pa' que esto no pare. Baila, 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 tengo que besarte antes que se acabe. Ella casi ni sale, la traición no el amor. Tiene par de amistades, pero no quiere relación. Donde va sobresale, en sus ojos se ve la ilusión. Pero llamó a su amiga que
Move
se
to the
olvide
beat,
que
y'all.
esta es su
Loosen up.
canción.
Let's get ready for her.
Woke up feeling like I just might run for president. Even if there ain't no precedent. Switching up the messaging. I'm about to add a little estrogen. Buy my whip, by myself. Pay my rent, by myself. Only exes that I care about are all up in my chromosomes. I don't really need you. I'm Macaulay Culkin, home alone. Bad bitch, diamonds in my collarbone. Yeah, yeah. Buy my whip, by myself. Pay my rent, by myself. Sugar, spice, and I'm nice. Show me what you made of. Crazy, sexy, cool, baby, with or without makeup. Got nothing to prove, but I'ma show you how I do.
Everyone can have a seat and just relax a bit and listen and enjoy the music.
And I do it like a do it like a hanging out the Sam City, feeling bossy in my city, 'cause I run it like a run it like a it's my femininity. I make these boys get on their knees. Now watch me do it, watch me do it. Look at how I do it like a girl, like a Shaka Khan through the fire like the kerosene. Lauryn Hill told me everything is everything. Serena Williams showed me
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the next Vice President of the United States, Kamala Harris.
There's so many girls, I hear you've been running from the beautiful queen that you can be becoming. You can look in my palm and see the storm coming. Read the book of my life and see I've overcome it. Just because the length of your hair ain't long, and they often criticize you for your skin tone. Wanna hold your head high, cause you a pretty woman. Get your runway stride on and keep it going. Girl, live your life. I just want to be myself. Yeah. Don't be yourself. Follow me, follow me, follow me. Girl, be yourself. That's why I be myself. And you love it. Let them get mad. They gon' hate anyway. Don't you get that? Doesn't matter if you want with that thing. They'll never be because they're not. I'm talking about things.
Oh, it's so good to be back in Houston. It's so good to be back in Harris County. Oh, it's so good. There are so many long-standing friends. So many long-standing friends who are here. And I cannot thank you for what you are doing to hold it down, to hold it up, and to elect Joe Biden the next president of the United States. And that's what we're about to do. And that's what you are about to do. And I'm here in Texas, been here all day today, to thank you, Houston, for all that you have been doing over these months, over these weeks, over these days. Today, of course, is the last day of early voting, and now we are 4 days away from the election that is going to change the course of our history. And we can't do it without you. We cannot do it without you. And of course, there is so much at stake. But before I continue, I want to thank Tina Knowles for that incredible introduction. Tina, you are amazing. You are amazing. You always have the courage to step up and speak out and lead. And I cannot thank you enough for that. So here we are. And within our power and in our hands, through our voice that will be reflected in our vote, we have the ability to make a statement about who we are as a country, knowing we are better than what we've been seeing, and that we who love our country are willing to fight for it and fight for its ideals. That's what's before us. And you know, we've been going through a lot. There are at least 4 crises that are impacting us right now as a country, all converging at the same time. We are in the midst of a public health crisis, a pandemic brought about by this virus, COVID-19, where we are looking at a public health crisis to the point that over 220,000 people lost their lives in just the last several months, many of whom tragically couldn't even be with relatives and friends, holding their hand, speaking to them in person in their last hours on earth. 9 million people who have been infected by this virus, who are going to have, by most doctors' accounts, long-term health conditions that include potentially things like lung scarring. This is, Houston, one of the greatest mass casualty events we have ever experienced in our country, probably only at the same proportion as World War II. And we have witnessed the greatest failure of any presidential administration in the history of the United States. And here's the thing about this. Thanks to a fellow by the name of Bob Woodward, we know that back on January 28th, Donald Trump was informed about what this is and what it would be. He was informed that it is a deadly virus, 5 times more deadly than the flu. He was informed that it would hurt people of every age. He was informed that it was airborne. And what did he do with that information? He sat on it. He covered it up. He did not share it with the American people. And can you imagine what you might have done as a parent, as a teacher, as a small business owner, if you had known on January 28th what he knew on January 28th? What you might have done to prepare? What you might have done to limit the harm? You know, because even before this pandemic, let's all be clear. On this issue, we know that folks weren't doing so well before. We know that before this pandemic, far too many Americans had to work 2 and 3 jobs to pay the rent and put food on the table. And by the way, in Joe Biden's America, you should never have to work more than 1 job to pay the rent and put food on the table. And even before this pandemic, we knew that far too many American families had less than $1,000 in savings. What they might have done to prepare. What teachers might have done to prepare their students. So many of our children in this country are now missing substantial and critical phases of their education. What folks might have done to prepare. To frankly just buy a couple extra rolls of toilet paper. But we didn't have the information. He covered it up. He called it a hoax. He said, you're on one side of his ledger if you wear a mask. You're on the other side of his ledger if you don't. And on top of all of this, in the midst of a public health pandemic, the President of the United States, with his boy, Bill Barr, are in the United States Supreme Court suing to get rid of Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act, brought to us by President Obama and Vice President Biden, that brought health care to over 20 million people who didn't have it and covered people with pre-existing conditions. Raise your hand if you know somebody with diabetes. Raise your hand if you love someone with high blood pressure. Raise your hand if your relative has lupus. Raise your hand if you know somebody who has breast cancer and is surviving. Raise your hand if you know somebody who caught COVID. And the man's in court trying to get rid of the protection for people with pre-existing conditions. Here in Texas, 10 million people have pre-existing conditions. So there is a real choice in this election on this point. Because you see, on the other hand, you have Joe Biden, who is saying, we need to expand Obamacare. We need to expand the protections for folks with pre-existing conditions. We need to bring down the cost of prescription drugs. We will lower the cost of premiums. We will bring down the age of Medicare eligibility to 60. We understand that when you're talking about health care, let's be clear, the body doesn't just start from the neck down. It also includes the neck up, and we need to deal with mental health care in America. Joe understands these issues. There is a clear choice in this election. We are dealing with an economic crisis of a proportion that parallels the Great Depression. Over 30 million people in the last several months had to file for unemployment. 1 in 5 mothers is describing her children under the age of 12 as being hungry in America. We are in the midst of a hunger crisis. People aren't talking enough about that. Here in Texas, 1 in 10 households is describing members of their family as having been hungry. 1 in 6 households is describing an inability to pay the rent. Here in Texas, 1 in 4 small businesses is describing having to shut down with concerns they will never be able to reopen. And on the one hand, you have a Joe Biden who says on the issue of the economy, If you want to know about how I think the economy is doing, then tell me how working people are doing. How are working families doing? Joe Biden says, let's get $150 billion in low-interest loans and access to capital to our small businesses with an emphasis on minority-owned businesses. Joe Biden says, we will not raise taxes on anyone that makes less than $400,000 a year, and we will cut middle-class taxes. Joe Biden says, you're a first-time homeowner, you will get first-time home buyer, you will get a $15,000 tax credit, a down payment and closing costs, because we know home ownership is one of the greatest ways that any American family accumulates wealth. Joe Biden says, if you are a student that wants to go to college coming from a family that makes less than $125,000 a year, you will go to a four-year public college for free, including an HBCU and a private HBCU. On the other hand, you have Donald Trump, who, when asked about the economy, asks, well, how are rich people doing? How is the stock market doing? To the point that one of his first, and in his mind, signature initiatives was to create a tax cut for the top 1% and the biggest corporations in America, which is going to cause us to have to deal with a $2 trillion deficit. Well, I'm going to tell you something. If we win this election, Joe Biden and I are about to get rid of that tax cut and invest that money in working families. We're about to put that money into an investment in infrastructure so we can build back up our roads and bridges. We're about to say that no family, working family, should pay more than 7% of your income in child care. We are about to say and put in place a commitment to support working families, knowing that if you want to talk about growing back up America's economy, invest in workers, invest in families, and all of us will benefit. We are in the midst of many crises. We are in the midst of a long overdue reckoning on racial injustice in America. And on the one hand, you have Joe Biden, who, being a student of America's history, has the courage to speak the phrase, Black Lives Matter. George Floyd's family is here tonight. George Floyd's life mattered. Those 8 minutes and 46 seconds. So Joe has the ability to understand that there is a long overdue reckoning taking place. Joe Biden says we need to deal with this. We need to deal with racial disparities in terms of the healthcare system, knowing that African Americans and Latinos are 3 times as likely to contract COVID and twice as likely to die from it, knowing that Black women are 3 to 4 times more likely to die in connection with childbirth than other people, knowing that our Native American brothers and sisters have the highest rate of diabetes of any population in our country. Joe Biden says we need to deal with these issues. We need to reform the criminal justice system, decriminalize marijuana, and expunge the records of the people who have been convicted. We need to shut down private prisons. We need to end cash bail because, by the way, it is an economic justice issue as much as it is a criminal justice issue. Joe Biden says we've got to reform policing to the point that we all agree everyone should face accountability and consequence if they break the law. And so Joe says we will have a system that bans chokeholds and carotid holds because George Floyd might be alive today if that were the case. We will have a national registry of police officers who break the law. Why? because it's not right that somebody can get fired one place for doing the wrong thing and move somewhere else and get hired. Joe has the courage to speak truth about this. On the other hand, you have Donald Trump, who stood on a stage in front of 70 million American people at a debate and refused to condemn white supremacists, and then doubled down and said, stand back and stand by. And here's the thing, Houston, it's a pattern. Let's not forget, he came to fame as a candidate for president by questioning the legitimacy of America's first black president. Let's not forget that at Charlottesville, where there were peaceful protesters protesting racial injustice in America, where a young woman died. And on the other side, there were neo-Nazis wearing swastikas, carrying tiki torches, spewing racist and anti-Semitic slurs. And when the President of the United States was asked about it, he said there were fine people on both sides. A president who called Mexicans rapists and criminals. A president who came into office and as one of his first orders of business put in place a Muslim ban. We are better than this. We are better than this, and we deserve better than this. We need a president who reflects who we really are. A president who understands within the beautiful diversity of who we are, wherever you live, whatever your race, whatever language your grandmother speaks, that we need a president who sees that we all have so much more in common than what separates us and ends this continuous thing that's about trying to sow hate and division. We need a Joe Biden who wants to come in and unify us as a nation. And then when we look at the crises, there is the crisis of this climate crisis, right? Now, you know, Texas knows what I'm talking about. Y'all know I come from California. Look, the West has been burning from California with these wildfires to Oregon to Washington, Colorado. I've met with families who've been evacuated because their homes have burned to the ground. I've met with firefighters who are fighting fires while their own home is burning. In fact, my brother-in-law is a firefighter. You look at what's happening, the neighbors to Texas in the Gulf states. We are now on the 5th named storm this year hitting the Gulf states. You know why you name a storm? Because it's really bad. So now this one is Zeta. With all due respect to my Zeta sisters. There you go. But it's a crisis, we're dealing with in the Midwest. The storms have caused flooding to the point that farmers have lost a whole season of crops. And so Joe understands this. And Joe says, hey, we need to embrace the science. Like, let's deal with this. Let's deal with the fact it literally represents an existential threat to who we are as a species. Joe knows that if you deal with this in terms of investment in renewable energies and investment in the technologies that are about solar and wind power, Texas is one of the leaders, that you also invest in jobs, millions of jobs, good paying jobs, jobs that will be the function of the training programs from the building trades, from the carpenters and the electricians. Joe knows that. Joe has the courage to say the clock is ticking on this and we need to approach this with a sense of urgency. Joe knows that this is also an environmental justice issue, which is a civil rights issue, which is a human rights issue. When you look at the fact that of all areas in our country with poor air quality, 70% of the occupants in those areas are people of color. Joe knows, and we've met with the folks in Flint. Joe understands the seriousness of this crisis. On the other hand, you have Donald Trump, who, when interviewed by a journalist about what was going on with the wildfires in California, so the journalist asked him something like, these wildfires are raging, and, the scientists are saying this thing and that thing about just the human behaviors are contributing to these extreme weather conditions. What do you have to say? The President of the United States, who is also the Commander-in-Chief, responds to the question by saying, science doesn't know. He's the President of the United States. Well, science does know, Mr. President, and science knows so much that the leading science publication has endorsed Joe Biden for President of the United States. So there you go, and these are just a few of the challenges that we are facing as a nation. And that brings me to this moment, which is the last day here in Texas for early voting, and now getting prepared for, in 4 days, the election on Tuesday, November 3rd. And, people have been asking me, like they ask all of us, because I'm sure they've been asking you because you are leaders among this, and so people probably come up to you and saying, well, why should I vote? Why should I vote? And, I think there are 3 reasons that people should vote. One is to honor the ancestors. Let's honor the ancestors. This year we lost the great John Lewis, who is now among the ancestors, and who, while a hero on this earth, shed blood on that Edmund Pettus Bridge for our right to vote. Let's honor the ancestors. Let's honor the fact that we just celebrated the 100th anniversary of the 19th Amendment. And all those suffragettes in their white just marching and shouting for a woman's right to vote. And then, let's always be accurate about history. Black women couldn't vote until 1965. But it's time to, and we can now. I heard that. So let's honor the ancestors. Reason 1 to vote. Reason number 2, everything is at stake. Everything. You can go down the list we just discussed. You can talk about our public schools. Joe and I are going to triple Title I funding, understanding that our children are in these schools with incredible God-given talent, but they need the resources to achieve their talent. We are going to put $70 billion into HBCUs because as a proud graduate of an HBCU, I know what they do to contribute to national and international leadership. So much is at stake. It is at stake that right now there are 545 children who, because of the United States government, don't know where their parents are because of a child separation policy at the border, which is a human rights offense that was committed by the United States government. What is at stake is creating a pathway to citizenship, renewing a promise to our dreamers by renewing DACA protections. Everything is at stake. So that's reason number 2 to vote. Reason number 3. So I've been traveling all over the country. I've been in North Carolina and Georgia and Florida. In fact, I'm going to Florida when I leave here. Ohio, you name it. And all over our country, and especially after 2013 when the Supreme Court gutted Shelby v. Holder, gutted the Voting Rights Act. We've seen states, at least 24 states, put in place policies and laws that have been designed to suppress the vote In North Carolina, in fact, the court that reviewed their law said it was written with, quote, surgical precision to make it difficult for Black people in North Carolina to vote. Around our country, we've seen policies and laws that have been designed to make it hard for folks to vote. You know, here in Texas where they pulled up the drop boxes, and so in Harris County with 11 million people, there is one drop box. Are you kidding me? In states where if people vote by mail, well, you gotta fill out the thing, the ballot, then put it in one envelope, then you gotta be sure to put it in the second envelope, and then be sure you sign that envelope or get somebody to sign it for you. The President of the United States on the debate stage, who openly solicited voter suppression, and not to mention, they're messing with the post office. I mean, the post office. Rodney Ellis, where are you? The post office. Like, the nicest people work for the post office. They're messing with the post office. And so all of this has to lead us to ask the question, why are so many powerful people trying to make it so difficult and confusing for us to vote? And I think we know the answer. The answer is because they know our power. They know our power. They know our power to stand up and exercise our voice through our vote. They know that we know that when we vote, things change. They know when we vote, we win. So let's not let anyone, not this election or ever, take our power from us. Let's not let anyone make us feel a concern or anxiety about whether we matter. Let's not give anybody that power over us to ever make us question whether we matter, whether we count. We have the power. We were born with it. They didn't give it to us. It wasn't granted to us. It is ours. So we know what we have to do. We have to get everybody out in 4 days on November 3rd, that Tuesday, and make sure that, especially during this pandemic when people are feeling alone and we got to social isolate and people are wearing a mask so you can't really see their full face and you're just feeling like, I don't know, feeling kind of alone. Let's remind people they are not alone and we are all in this together. And then my final point is this. This moment will pass. This moment will pass. And years from now, our children, our grandchildren, others, they will look at us. They will look in our eyes, each one of us, and they will ask us, where were you at that moment in time? And what I know we will be able to tell them is so much more than just how we felt at this moment. We will tell them what we did. We will tell them we were hanging out this one Friday evening in Houston with Kamala and all these incredible elected officials. We will tell them we were bopping a little to Common. We will tell them Tina Knowles graced us with her presence. We will tell them that we were organizing folks, that we were telling them what was at stake. We were reminding them of the sacrifice of our ancestors. We will tell them that we called and we texted and we emailed everybody multiple times till they got sick of us, but they got over it. And we will tell them we elected Joe Biden, the President of the United States. Thank you, Houston. Thank you.